Alright, this is a little video. I had a Misfire cylinder number 1 on this car. Now, 2 years ago I had the intakes fixed on this car, and the antifreeze was leaking, and I was misfiring cylinder number 2. So I had the intakes fixed. Took the intakes off, the top and the bottom fixed. Now you've got a lot of fuel rails here, and you need a special tool to take them off. And if you don't get these injectors in correct and they start leaking, your whole car goes on fire. So I never really did a fuel injector rail before, and it was a big job, and I didn't have the time to take all of this off. So I let the guy do it, and when he was doing it, I says, let's change the water pump. I put a new water pump on it because he had to take this all off, and in back of this water pump, by the timing chain cover, there's a gasket, and that used to leak. In order to get that off, you got to take the damper off. You need a puller for that. So he changed the gasket, and I got the new water pump on it because he had to take this all off anyway. He gave me a good deal with this, so I figured let me get all that done. And says, since you have the car, I might as well put new wires on it and new plugs, because the plugs are very hard to get. Got to take the heat shields off here, the heat shields off here, and you see my arm is all black and blue. That's why I never want to do plugs. I did them once before. But anyway, I had a misfire in cylinder 1. So what I did is I took this to my buddy's, the mechanic next door, and he put the reader on. He says, I got a misfire, cylinder 1. So he cleared the codes off, the light went out, but it came back on again 2 days later, and it started flashing. So I says, let me go check these wires. Maybe one of the wires got burnt back here, ripped. The plug could be bad. So I pulled the plug out, took the heat shield off, I put my spark plug socket on the plug, and it was loose. The whole socket was moving. After I took the handle off, you can actually twist the plug in and out. That's how loose it was. That's what the misfire was. The plug was not in tight. So what I did is I took it out. The plug looked great. Nothing wrong with it. I put it back in, tightened them all down. Then I changed them. Then I checked them all. Pulled the boots off, all of them, and I wanted to make sure all the plugs were tight in this car. And I did this side too. I take that heat shield off. And that's why my arm got all bruised, trying to get back in there to get your hands there. You can't get them from underneath, these front two. You can get the back one from underneath. So that's what I did. So if you ever have a misfire, it could be something serious as a intake leak, gasket leaking, or it could be a bad plug, bad wire. In my case, the spark plug was loose. So what probably happened is when the guy tightened these plugs in, maybe his phone rang in his shop, and he went to answer his phone, and then came back to start doing the car, and thought he had that plug in tight enough, and then started putting the other ones in. The other ones were all tight except for that one. That plug was loose. So by you having it loose, it's not getting a good compression in there, and it was misfiring. The car would shudder. The car would start, give it gas, and she would shudder. And then it would go off. No lights would come on. The lights started coming on because it was misfiring too many times. Once it misfires so many times, the same cylinder, then the light will come on. Sometimes the lights don't come on all the way. So that's what I did. So if you ever get a misfire, check your plugs. The first thing you do is you check your plugs and your wire to make sure the wires ain't cut on exhaust or something like that. So that's what I was doing on my Camaro. Let me start her up and I'll show you how nice she's idling. Bear with me, I'm just holding it. See that? The engine ain't shaking. That engine would shake. That whole engine would shake like that. That's a misfire. That was misfire. So she's running good. Nice and smooth. So a little update on the Camaro. Misfire because the spark plug was loose. That's why I like to do my own repairs. This way I know I do the job right. But I didn't really know how to do a intake gasket and take the fuel rails off and all of that. So I let the guy do it. He was a good mechanic, but they must have been taken away from that, not having that plug-in tight. And it started working its way out.